I didn't know I had died. The dream didn't tell me. My mind didn't tell me. It was the silence, the heavy, unnatural silence, that told me something was wrong with reality itself. I woke up standing in the middle of a road I didn't recognize, with darkness stretched endlessly in every direction. There were no stars, no moon, no distant lights. Only the faint glow of a single failing street lamp, flickering like it was struggling to stay alive. I remember breathing slowly, cautiously, frightened by how cold the air felt. Not normal cold, cold like something that had never been touched by sunlight. The pavement beneath my feet felt real, but too real. So sharply detailed it felt like my senses were overworking, like I was being forced to notice every crack and grain of asphalt. My heartbeat didn't feel right either, not fast, not slow. Just wrong, too heavy, too loud, like it didn't belong to me. That's when I saw the body. At first, it looked like a shape lying in the road. A dark outline, a broken silhouette. Something about it pulled me toward it, not curiosity, not fear. Something deeper like gravity, like I was meant to walk toward it no matter what my mind screamed at me. I stepped closer, each footstep echoing unnaturally loud against the empty road. No sound should echo in open air, but mine did. It felt like the darkness was swallowing all natural sound and only returning what it wanted me to hear. When I got close enough to see the face, I felt my soul twist inside my body, my knees buckled, my breath caught in my throat. It was me. My body was lying on the road, my face pale, drained of all color, eyes half open but empty. My chest wasn't rising, my lips were bluish, my hand was twisted at an angle it shouldn't be. There was dried blood on the corner of my mouth, but no injury I could see. I stared at myself, unable to accept it, unable to even understand it. "No," I whispered, stepping back, shaking. "No, that's not me, that's not." But no matter how much I tried to deny it, every small detail told the truth. The faint scar near my thumb, the mole near my jaw, the tiny mark on my wrist I got as a kid. All of it was there. That dead body was mine. I stumbled backward and fell onto the cold asphalt. My hands shook violently as I pressed them against the ground, trying to catch my breath, trying to feel alive. But even the ground didn't feel normal. It felt muted, distant, like I was touching something through a thin layer of air. I tried to scream, nothing came out. Then the world around me began to dissolve. Literally dissolve, as if someone wiped water across a painting. The road lost its shape. The street lamp melted into darkness, and the dead version of me faded into static. A loud, sharp beep pierced the darkness. Then another, I blinked, and suddenly I wasn't outside anymore. I was in a hospital hallway. The lights flickered above me, buzzing with an uneven, sickening hum. The smell of antiseptic burned my nose. The floor was glossy, too reflective, like a mirror smeared with water. I felt the air, cold and sterile, brushing against my skin. I walked forward, unable to stop myself. A voice echoed ahead. Then another. "Urgent, panicked, move, he's crashing, get the cart." My name, I heard my name, repeated, shouted. The fear in their voices made my stomach twist. I turned the corner and froze. Doctors were crowded around a body on a gurney. My body, I felt everything drain out of me. My legs almost gave out. My chest tightened. A doctor pressed my chest rhythmically, counting under his breath. Another checked my pulse. Another prepared a syringe. Flatline. Someone said quietly, "No, no, no." I ran to them. "I'm right here. I'm alive. I'm right here." I grabbed one doctor's arm. My hand passed through him, like smoke, like I wasn't real. I backed away, trembling, my breath shaking uncontrollably. One of the nurses turned toward the monitor and lowered her head. We lost him. My vision blurred. Tears I didn't feel spilled down my face. I was dead, and I was watching it. I screamed, but again no sound came out. My voice didn't belong to the air anymore. It belonged to something else, something trapped. The lights above me flickered violently, then exploded into darkness. For a moment, everything vanished into complete black. Then a single red emergency light flashed, just one, blinking slowly, painting the hallway in blood. Red. The doctors and nurses were gone, the gurney remained, my body remained, but it wasn't lying down anymore. It was sitting up, its head twisted slowly toward me with a sharp, cracking sound like broken bone scraping against tile. Its eyes opened fully, wide, unblinking, dead but aware. Its lips moved, my lips moved. And in a voice that sounded like mine but hollow, empty, missing a soul, it whispered, "You're not supposed to be here." I stumbled away from it, shaking from head to toe, my back hitting the cold wall behind me. My dead self slid off the gurney with unnatural movements, like joints bending the wrong ways, like a puppet controlled by broken strings. It started walking toward me, step by step, slow, deliberate. "Wrong, this is my place now." It whispered, voice echoing through the hallway like it came from everywhere and nowhere. "You need to sleep, forever." My breath was shivering, "Stay away from me." It smiled. "Rotten empty, you can't run from your own death." I turned and ran down the hallway, but everything began twisting around me. Doors melting, floors stretching, walls bending inward like the hospital itself was breathing. My footsteps made no sound. My body felt too light, like gravity wasn't fully connected to me anymore. I looked behind, it was running too, faster, closing distance, dragging its broken body along the floor, each movement making a sickening crack. I pushed through a door and everything went white, blinding white, like I had stepped into a dream inside a dream. Shapes appeared, blurry, shifting, changing like reflections on broken glass. Then I saw it, a figure standing in the white fog. Not my dead self, something else, something wrong. Its face was blurred, shifting constantly, never settling on one shape. Its voice came out like thousands of whispers overlapping. "You died before your dream ended." I tried to speak, but my throat felt locked. "You are not alive," the whispers continued, "not fully, not anymore." My heart hammered violently. What? What am I then? The figure stepped closer. "You are a mistake." My breath froze. "You saw your death?" It whispered. "No one is allowed to see their own ending." I took a step back. The white world around me cracked, literally cracked like thin ice splitting under pressure. "You must choose." The voice said, "Go back to your body, or let it take your place forever." And then behind me I heard the broken footsteps again. It was coming, my dead self, dragging itself through the white fog, reaching for me. The figure whispered one last time, "Choose quickly." Everything froze. The air, my breath, the world, even sound stopped. And then the night after the first dream refused to fade from my mind. I tried not to sleep. I kept every light in my room on. I kept the TV running just for noise. I even sat upright on my bed, telling myself I would stay awake until morning. But sleep came for me anyway. It felt like something tugged on my consciousness. Slow, heavy, irresistible. Like hands closing over my eyes. And the moment darkness swallowed me, I realized I wasn't in my room anymore. I was standing again on the same deserted road from the first dream, but this time, it wasn't quiet. I could hear something breathing. Deep, slow, wet inhalations echoing through the fog. The pale streetlight overhead flickered violently. My heartbeat thudded in my throat as I stepped back, trying to understand where I was. The fog felt thicker this time, like I was breathing in damp cotton. And the cold felt too real to be a dream. Then I heard it, a dragging sound, like bare feet scraping asphalt. I froze. The fog shifted, rolling aside in slow waves, and a figure appeared, half hidden, moving toward me with an unnatural slowness. He was the same dead man from my first dream, the same torn clothes, the same broken stance, the same skin, pale, stretched, cracked like dried clay, but something was different. His head hung lower, his neck bent at an impossible angle, and there was a dark hole where his heart should have been. He raised his face, his eyes were rotten now. Not just life, less empty, cavernous sockets filled with shadow that pulsed like something alive hid inside. He lifted a trembling hand and pointed at me again. "You remember?" His voice was deeper this time, layered like three voices speaking through one mouth, not asking, not questioning, stating. My legs moved on their own. I stepped back, but the road dissolved behind me into more fog. There was nowhere to go. My breath turned sharp and shallow, visible as white mist. "What do you want?" I whispered. He didn't blink. He didn't breathe. He simply lowered his head and took another step closer. "You saw the truth," he rasped, "and because you saw it, you belong to it. I didn't understand. My first dream, when he died in front of me, calling for help, had felt like a warning, not a curse." I shook my head desperately. "I don't belong to anything. You're just a dream." His jaw cracked open, wider than human. "Then wake up." The air shattered. A violent wind blasted through the fog, whipping at my clothes, pulling at my skin with invisible claws. His body seemed to glitch, freezing for a second and then jerking closer, then closer again, until he stood only inches from me. I could smell death on him, rotting water, mold, something metallic. Blood dried long ago. He leaned forward, his mouth right beside my ear. "You didn't watch me die," he whispered. "You lived it." My stomach dropped. What are you talking about?" He stepped back. His face twisted into something like sorrow. But not human sorrow, something darker, regret mixed with hunger. "You think this is only a dream because your mind needs it to be," he said, "but when you watch a death, you become marked by it. That didn't make sense." Nothing made sense. I didn't do anything. I shouted. He tilted his head. "You were there." The road vanished beneath me. The world spun. And suddenly I was falling through darkness, until I crashed hard into another memory that wasn't mine. For a moment I didn't know who I was. I was lying on cold pavement. I could smell gasoline. I could feel blood spreading under my body, and someone above me screamed my name. Except it wasn't my name. It was his. I gasped, jerking upright. I wasn't on the road anymore. I was in a different place. An alleyway stained with oil and rainwater. Thunder rumbled far above, but there was no sky, just swirling blackness. And there he was again, standing across from me, watching with those hollow eyes. "You felt it this time," he said softly. "Good." My voice broke. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because you must remember." My heart pounded. Remember what? I had never seen him before in my life. "You were the last one to look at me before I died," he said. "You stood there, you watched, and you didn't stop it." I know that's not true, but my conviction cracked. Something deep inside me shifted. He stepped closer. When death sees you watching, it follows. He raised his hand and I followed. The alley shook. The ground cracked open as black tendrils rose from below. Thin, skeletal shapes reaching for my ankles. I tried to run, but the ground turned soft like mud, swallowing my feet. The dead man sighed almost painfully. "You can't escape me, not until you accept what you did." The tendrils reached my knees. My hips, my chest. "Stop." I screamed. Everything froze. The tendrils halted inches from my throat. The dead man's empty eyes stared into mine. "Next dream," he whispered, "I will show you the moment you forgot." Before I could breathe, the tendrils yanked me downward. And I woke up in my bed screaming, choking, drenched in sweat. But as my vision cleared, I realized something horrifying. There were muddy footprints, leading from my window to the side of my bed. And they stopped right where the dead man had stood in my dream. That was the first thing I noticed when my breathing slowed enough for me to focus. The prints weren't faint or fading. They were bold, dark, dripping, like someone had stepped straight out of a swamp and into my room. My room, my real room, not the dream. I stared at them, my throat tightening, my limbs refusing to move. They led from the open window toward me and stopped inches from where I had been lying. I swallowed hard. No, this isn't real. This can't be real. But the cold air drifting through the open window was real, the smell of wet earth was real, the shape of the footprints, bare, long, twisted, was horribly, unmistakably real. My hands shook as I reached for my phone. No signal, not even one bar. The time on the screen flickered strangely. 3:03 a.m. 3:03 a.m. 3:03 a.m. repeating, glitching, like it was stuck. Suddenly the room dimmed. The lights didn't turn off, they died, fizzling into darkness like the last breath of a candle, and then I heard it. A soft, dragging inhale, not from the window, not from the hallway, from right behind me. I froze, my skin went cold, tears threatened to spill before I even turned around, very slowly. I twisted my head over my shoulder, nothing, the room was empty, but the breathing didn't stop, it grew louder. Closer, like it was circling me. Then I noticed something I hadn't before. The footprints didn't end beside my bed. There was one more print. Fresh, wet, pressed into the edge of my mattress, right where someone would stand if they were, leaning over me as I slept. My heart broke into pieces. I stumbled back, nearly tripping over myself as I reached the door. The handle was ice cold, but I forced it down and pulled the door open and froze. Because standing in the hallway was me, but not exactly. It was my face, my height, my clothes, but the skin was pale, waterlogged. The eyes were sunken. The neck bent slightly to the side like something had twisted it. And the expression, God, the expression wasn't mine. It was a dead man trying to remember how to smile. We're waking up now. It whispered, my breath caught. What are you? The thing tilted its head. You're starting to see what you forgot. It took one slow step toward me, its wet footprints staining the wooden floor. I backed up. Stay away, you watched me die. It said softly, and then you dreamed me wrong. Its voice broke, like anger boiling under every word. You forgot the truth, so I came to remind you. I shook my head. I didn't see you die. I don't know you. You will. It raised its hand, and my vision snapped into darkness, not pitch black, but a moving, breathing darkness. A memory I didn't want. Suddenly I was in a stairwell, concrete walls, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. I could feel my own footsteps echo. My chest was tight, my palms sweaty. I wasn't watching this dream, I was living it. Ahead of me, at the bottom of the stairs, someone was struggling. My perspective moved closer, fast, like I was chasing them. I saw hands shoving the man I'd seen in my dreams. His face panicked. He was gasping for breath. Please, don't, he begged. A group of shadows surrounded him. My heart stopped. I knew those shadows. One of them was me. What? No, no. I screamed, but the memory didn't stop. Someone shoved the man again. He fell, tumbling down the stairs, his neck snapping against the railing on the way down. The world froze. The man lay crumpled on the landing, his chest barely rising, and my dream self, my past self, walked down the stairs slowly, stood over him, looking at him, doing nothing. I couldn't breathe. The dead man's voice echoed through the stairwell, cold and quiet. You weren't the killer. A pause. But you watched, you let it happen, and you walked away. The scene dissolved. I was back in my room, back in my body, falling to my knees, shaking uncontrollably. The thing wearing my face stood in the corner, its head tilted, watching me. Now its smile was perfect, human, warm, wrong. Now, it whispered, stepping closer. You finally remember, I sobbed. What do you want from me? It crouched down so its dead face met mine, to finish what you started. The lights flickered. My phone buzzed violently, and a new message appeared on the screen from an unknown number. You can't wake up until he takes your place. I looked up, but the thing wearing my face was gone. Only the muddy footprints remained. They glistened in the faint moonlight leaking through the window, looking even darker than before, almost black. I stared at them, waiting, listening, trying to feel anything except the violent shaking in my hands. He was here, he had stood in front of me, he had spoken through my own face, and now he was gone, but I didn't believe that. Things like him don't disappear. Things like him only move. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the same unknown number. He's still in the house. My throat went dry. My tongue felt like sand. I typed back with trembling fingers where 3 dots appeared, then stopped, then appeared again, slow, dragging, like someone dead was typing them. Finally, behind you, my breath shattered inside my chest. I didn't turn. I couldn't turn. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to leap out the window, to do anything except look behind me, but I forced myself, inch by inch, to turn my head. Nothing, just darkness, the hallway faint, the air still. A nervous, broken laugh escaped me. Okay, okay, maybe this is just... A low crack echoed behind my dresser, like joints popping, like a spine twisting. I stopped breathing again. Another crack, higher now, then lower, then closer, slowly, horrifyingly. A hand slipped out from the narrow space between the dresser and the wall, wet, pale, fingers too long, bent at wrong angles. Another hand followed, then a face, my face, but stretched, skin pulled too tight, the jaw hanging a little too loose, the eyes wide like a corpse trying to force itself back to life. It dragged itself out inch by inch, its limbs bending in ways that made my stomach twist. When it finally stood, its shoulders cracked loudly back into place. "You can't run from me." It whispered through a broken jaw, "You already tried." I stumbled backwards until I hit the wall. My legs were jelly. My voice barely held on. "What do you want? Why come after me? I didn't kill you." "No," it said, stepping closer. "You watched." Its wet footprints spread across the floor as it approached. Every step smelled like mold and rot, and something old that should have stayed buried. "Do you think silence makes you innocent?" I shook my head, tears blurring everything. "I didn't know what to do. You did nothing." It raised one trembling hand and touched its own cheek, my cheek. "Now," it said, "you will feel what it's like to be left to die." I lunged for the door, but as soon as I touched the handle, every light in the house burst violently, one by one, like glass grenades exploding in the distance. The hallway went pitch black. Then I heard footsteps behind me. Not fast, slow, sure, like he knew I couldn't escape. And then I felt his hand on my shoulder, cold, heavy, strong enough to freeze my muscles. "You saw me die." He breathed into my ear. "Now see yourself." The floor beneath me cracked like thin ice. My vision dropped into darkness. Cold air rushed past me. A staircase appeared. Concrete, dirty, familiar. I was back in the memory, but this time I wasn't watching from afar. I was at the bottom of the stairs. The dead man lay in front of me, blood at his mouth, neck bent, eyes barely open. He looked at me, at the real me. "You left me," he whispered. "You let them run. You let me die alone." I didn't know what to. His hand shot out and grabbed my wrist with impossible force. "Now it's your turn." My surroundings snapped into darkness again. Then I felt myself being pulled, dragged, like invisible claws were ripping me backward through reality itself. And suddenly I was back in my room. But not alone. The dead version of me was sitting on my bed, tilting its head with a slow smile. "You're almost ready," it said softly. "Just one more thing before I take your place." My breath caught. "What? What thing?" Its smile widened, splitting the skin at the corners of its mouth. "You need to dream what really happened." My vision blurred, the room dimmed, his face faded, and the darkness swallowed me whole. It wasn't like falling. It wasn't like dreaming. It felt like sinking inside a memory that wasn't finished yet. One that had claws, teeth, and a heartbeat that didn't belong to me. The darkness flickered. A faint, sickly yellow light appeared. I was standing in a long hallway, rotting wallpaper, broken lights, concrete beneath my feet. A metallic smell that wrapped around my throat like a hand. I knew this place, the building where he died, where I left him. My footsteps echoed as I moved down the hallway, each step heavier than the last. It felt like the walls were bending inward, listening to me breathe. The air thickened, colder, sharper. Then I saw him, alive, sitting against the wall, clutching his side, blood dripping between his fingers. His breath rattled like something trying to stay alive long after it should have stopped. He looked up at me. But not like before, not angry, not vengeful, just sad. "You finally came," he whispered. My voice cracked. I didn't mean to leave you. I panicked. I ran. I regretted every single day." He shook his head slowly. "No, you regret that I came back." Those words crushed my chest. He was right. I'd regretted every nightmare, every window reflection that wasn't mine, every voice whispering my name in the dark. But I never regretted leaving him. I regretted what he became. "I'm sorry," I whispered. He smiled weakly. "Sorry doesn't change the ending." The lights above us flickered violently, buzzing like insects trapped in glass. He stood up. Bones cracked back into place. Flesh rearranged itself. His chest caved inward, then snapped outward. His head tilted with a wet clicking sound. He became the dead version again, twisted, broken, wrong. "The night I died," he growled, his voice layer, "like two people speaking at once, you didn't just leave me. He took a step forward, you watched me fall. Another step, you listened to me call your name. Another, you heard me begging. He was inches from my face now, and you didn't come down the stairs. Tears streamed down my cheeks. I was scared. So was I." He whispered, "But you let fear choose for you, and now I'm choosing for you." The hallway warped, walls twisting, floor folding upward like melting plastic. My surroundings blurred into a spinning void of broken memories and shadows. His hand reached out and grabbed my face. Cold fingers dug into my jaw. "You know what happens now," he hissed. I forced myself to speak. "What do you want from me?" He leaned close until I could feel the dead cold of his breath. "I want your life." My heart stopped. He smiled. "I want your mornings, your nights, your body, your name. I want to breathe with your lungs and speak with your voice." I tried to pull away, but my limbs weren't mine anymore. "You lived," he whispered. I didn't. His other hand grabbed my wrist. "Just like the moment he died, you get to walk, I get to rot." "No," I choked out. "You get a future, I get the dark." "No, please, you get to be remembered." His voice cracked with rage. "And I get to be forgotten." The hallway snapped like glass. Suddenly, he wasn't in front of me, he was inside me. I felt him crawling under my skin, pressing from the inside, pushing into my breath, sliding behind my eyes like oil filling a pipe. My body twitched, my fingers bent, my breathing changed. He spoke using my own throat, perfect fit. I screamed, but only inside my mind. He had taken my voice, my body, my breath. I was trapped behind his eyes, forced to watch him move my limbs, flex my fingers, smile with my mouth. I was screaming in silence, pounding at the inside of my skull. He turned my head slowly, admiring the world through my vision. "Now," he whispered, "you can take my place." The floor beneath me opened like a mouth. I fell backward into an abyss of cold black water that swallowed every sound. Above me, far away, I saw my own body, standing, breathing, blinking, looking down at me with the faintest smile. Then he said something I will never forget. "You're the dead one now." The darkness sealed shut. My screams were eaten by the void. My body walked away, and I stayed behind, alone, cold, awake inside a nightmare that would last forever, and that is where the story ends. I don't know how long I've been here. Down in this darkness, frozen in a place that isn't life, and isn't death. Time doesn't move, the air doesn't shift. Nothing breathes here except the memories I'm forced to replay again, and again, and again. And every time I open my eyes, I see me walking around in my body like it was always his, laughing with my laugh, speaking with my voice, living my days like I never existed. People see him. People believe him. No one knows I'm gone. And the worst part, every night, in the far distance of this endless dark, I hear footsteps. His footsteps coming closer, slow, steady, patient, like he's checking on me. Like he wants to make sure I'm still trapped, still silent, still suffering. Sometimes he whispers, "Stay down there, stay forgotten." And I want to scream. I want to claw my way out. I want to prove I'm still real. But no sound leaves my mouth, no sound ever will, because he was right. I'm the dead one now, buried inside a nightmare with my own heartbeat echoing like a funeral drum, and above me, far above, my stolen life continues without me. If anyone hears this, if anyone feels something watching them from the corner of their room, if your own reflection ever smiles a second too late, run, because once he chooses you, once he takes your place. There's only one ending. You don't wake up. You don't escape. You don't survive. You just fall forever into the dark, and he walks away wearing your face.